It's recap time. Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom Grossi, and just like we've been doing for the past few weeks, let's start recapping all the games in the NFL during Week 7. A lot of upsets, a lot of whoopings, a lot of beatings, and a whole lot of Patriots winning, unfortunately, because there's nothing like a good Monday night beatdown to really get you through the week. Yay. So let's start with the Thursday night game, which is another barn burner, second one in a row. The Chiefs beating the Broncos 30-6, but of course costing them just about everything. And the fact that Patrick Mahomes is going to be out for at least 3 weeks for dislocating his knee. They're going to have to see on top of that what the MRIs look like, how rehab is going, etc. But coming at a really, really big cost. And so while they're able to beat a divisional rival, this is obviously going to put a damper on things. And considering their schedule for the next few weeks, this is not going to be an easy road for them, especially if Mahomes is out for longer than 3 weeks. But taking a look at this, the Broncos defense, which has been on point for the past 2 weeks, definitely was not. Their offense could not get anything going. And the Chiefs defense actually looked much, much better. And so going forward, like, they could still beat teams potentially like the Packers. You know, Matt Moore definitely looks serviceable with all the weapons that they do have, but they definitely will be missing Patrick Mahomes. Then, speaking of the Green Bay Packers demolished the Raiders 42-24. The score wasn't even that close. Close in the first half, and then Aaron Rodgers was just like, "Oh, you mocked the belt, huh?" Time to die. And yeah, Aaron Rodgers, 6 touchdowns, 5 through the air, 1 on the ground, literally did it all, and reminded me of a little 2011 Green Bay Packers. The defense struggled without Darnell Savage, but they were the bend, don't break type of defense, again, like 2011. Third game without Davante Adams didn't matter, spread the ball around just about everywhere, and I think, like I've said in the past episodes, a few days ago, the fact that Davante Adams is injured might be the best thing that's happened to this team because it's allowed them to scout the talent that they do had. Allen Lazard got more snaps, didn't get a ton of targets, but at least was able to play a little bit more. Jimmy Graham had a big impact on the game, and so it's going to be interesting to see if the Packers are going to be able to get Davante back soon, and of course Darnell Savage when we play teams like the Chiefs. Then, moving on, we got the Rams and Falcons. The Falcons, who just traded Mohamed Sanu to the Patriots for a second rounder because the Patriots weren't good enough. And the Falcons are having a fire sale. God. What? Like, it's just so sad. So sad. But the Rams were able to get their bounce-back win because they played the Falcons. So that probably gave them a little bit of confidence. Their offense was firing on all cylinders. Their defense looked much better, of course, with Jalen Ramsey as well. But the Falcons, they got no answers. And unless they fired Dan Quinn, which I don't know how much longer he could possibly last there. I mean, with all the talent that they have, it's just, it's unacceptable. Matt Ryan, of course, also leaving with an ankle injury. Not looking good, Atlanta fans. And that's the best I got for you. And I'm sorry that he had to sit through that. Then moving on to, oh God, what a classic game that no one could get enough of. The San Francisco 49ers going to take on the Redskins, which, yeah, was as exciting as it sounds, but very low scoring. 9-0 was the final score because the field conditions were absolute garbage. I believe that tickets were going for less than $10 to get into the stadium because they can't even get people into the stadium anymore because the Redskins are just so bad. And it was also pouring rain, and no one wanted to sit out there through that, including the players. Now, the 49ers obviously didn't blow away the Redskins. The offense still didn't look great. You can attribute that to some of the weather in the field conditions, but it'll be very interesting to see if the 49ers are able to hold their own against the Panthers. I think that's going to be a really big test for them next week. And the Redskins, yeah, you're the Redskins. You also saw the Broncos trade Emmanuel Sanders for a third and a fourth, and also gave up a fifth to the San Francisco 49ers. really helping out that wide receiver core, their lack thereof. George Kittle literally can't do everything on the 49ers, so maybe that's going to help out the offensive side of the ball. All right, moving on. We had the Colts and Texans in actually a very good game. Jacoby Brissett with 4 touchdowns. The defense was able to contain Deshaun Watson, who didn't have the greatest day. And this is an impressive win for the Colts, who have been very well coached, who have really rebounded this season after the news of Andrew Luck retiring in August, and I wish them absolutely nothing but the best. I'm happy for the Colts, considering kind of all the things that they've been through at this point. Now, at the same time, I am a little disgusted still at what they did to Andrew Luck of making him go back to play injured, and also not giving him an offensive line and having him get killed every single season. But at this point, I'm really happy for Jacoby Brissett. He's become a leader of that team, and it definitely shows. And I think they are absolutely contenders in the playoffs here. And the Texans, they'll bounce back. They have Deshaun Watson, a high-powered offense. I think they'll be just fine. Then, speaking of high-powered offenses, which you would have never said 3 weeks ago, oh, God, the Minnesota Vikings beating up on the Lions 42-20. I'm sorry, beating up on the Lions 42-30. The Vikings firing on all cylinders. Kirk Cousins, 3 games in a row over 300 yards, back-to-back 4 touchdown performances. Yeah, and like I said, they were going to do well in October, but this they're putting on a clinic out there, much to the chagrin of Packer fans. But we're so high up, number 1 on the NFC North, we're not even thinking about the peasants on the bottom. I can say that because 2 years we've sucked, and so the Vikings are continuing to keep pace with the Packers. They'll probably have a good rest of their October before their schedule gets a little bit more difficult. For the Lions, they just traded. Oh, God. They just traded Diggs, their safety, and a 7 to the Seahawks for a 2025th round pick. I don't know why. Kerryon Johnson's on IR. Yeah, things seem like the wheels are coming off in Detroit. And after a promising start to the season and some close games, things are getting ugly real quick. Then moving on to the Jaguars and Bengals. The Jaguars had beaten the Bengals 27-17. The Bengals still cannot catch a win and were proven to be the less aggressive jungle cat today. But Jaguars, they looked pretty good. Obviously, their offense has kind of got back to being, sexy under Minshew. And yeah, the Bengals, they really need AJ Green, unless they trade him and are just giving up on the season, which it seems like a lot of the players and fans have already done. Then moving on to the Cardinals and Giants. Saquon Barkley came back, but it still wasn't enough to make the Giants not suck. Kyler Murray played well, or at least well enough, but the big story out of this was David Johnson getting like 3 carries on the day, and their backup absolutely destroying that Giants defense. And so I don't know what that spells for the future. If anything, maybe it was just a crazy 1-week incident. But David Johnson fantasy owners are scratching their heads a little bit because this should have been a great week for David Johnson. But the Giants, a game that they could have easily won, and they almost came back and won it. Just disappointing for them. But then again, that's just their franchise. Then moving on to a game that was much closer than it should have been. The Bills 31 to the Dolphins 21. The Dolphins were actually leading. I know. Who would have ever thought in this game with Ryan Fitzpatrick, who definitely provides more of a spark than Josh Rosen. And again, I don't blame that completely on Josh Rosen because he has just been to 2 abusive households in the Cardinals and the Dolphins because they just let everyone just beat the crap out of him with that offensive line. But the Bills were able to do just enough to win. I included them in the top 10 this week, but we'll see how they do for the rest of the season. They have a pretty soft schedule, though. Then moving on to the Chargers and Titans, who had a crazy final minute of that game in which they got down to the 1-yard line, and then they scored, and that got called back, and then there was pass interference. They went back to the 1-yard line, and then Melvin Gordon fumbled it on the 1-yard line, which again, Melvin Gordon, not looking good for that holdout, buddy. But the Chargers are coming back, and they're showing hey, we can be good. And I feel like by the time they play the Packers, there's going to be, of course, a good chance that they actually are good because that's just our luck. But right now, they really need to rebound. And going into Soldier Field and beating the Bears would definitely be a step in the right direction as the Bears are stumbling right now. The Titans, this isn't going to do anything. You have a complete and total question mark on what the hell you're doing at QB. Mariota, Tannehill, not going to matter. Neither of them are your future. And I don't think this is going to really make a difference in the overall scheme of things. Then moving on to the Ravens and Seahawks. The Ravens win 30-16 going into Seattle and putting on a clinic, holding Russell Wilson to his worst game of the season. And really just dominating. Lamar Jackson was actually held kind of in check when it came through the air, but was able to amass many, many running yards as well as a TD against the Seahawks. And so, yeah, the Seahawks kind of really reliant on on Russell Wilson. When he plays poorly, the entire team is going to play poorly. But I think the Seahawks will be just fine from this. They'll bounce back. I still think they're playoff contenders, and I'd be shocked if they don't make a wild card. Then moving on to the Saints beating the Bears 36-25. This game was not close at all, despite what the score indicates. It was all garbage time. Mitch Trubisky literally was overthrowing every single receiver known to man, getting sacked because of that offensive line, and putting that defense on the field every 5 seconds. They got gassed. They have no Akeem Hicks. Things are looking bleak in Chicago in a very competitive division, and right now, they do not have an offense to save their life. They also only ran the ball a handful of times, which makes absolutely no sense for a total of 18 yards. Why would you not run the ball? Why? I hear all these things about David Montgomery. Should probably use him. That's Matt Nagy. That's the offensive line. That's Mitch Trubisky. There's just so many problems going on right now in Chicago. The Saints, though, under Bridgewater, 5-0, looking incredible. I can't imagine what this team's going to look like with Drew Brees. It's going to be disgusting. Then the Sunday night game, you had the Eagles losing to the Cowboys 37-10. This one was over in the first quarter. The Cowboys roaring back after dropping 3 straight. A lot of people said, including myself, that the winner of this probably will decide the division of the NFC East, which is, again, just they had the Redskins and Giants on the bottom, and then the Eagles and Cowboys of whoever can fall upwards first. And they showed, listen, they came in and they took care of business at home after losing an embarrassing game to the Jets and Sam Darnold. More embarrassing after that Monday night game. And we'll see if this will be a turning point for the Cowboys here. The Eagles, rough. Carson Wentz looked rough. Then moving on to the exhilarating Monday night game where the Patriots won 35-0 against the Jets. And here I thought this could have been an upset. Nope, I was just upset with the result, but the Star Wars trailer was really good. And that's really all I can say about this. Yes, the Patriots have a ridiculous easy schedule, and the Jets suck. And this is going to have, they're playing the Browns next week, and they have Mohamed Sanu now, so the Patriots will continue to roll. But then they're going to have a 5-game stretch that might be difficult, so maybe, just maybe, we'll see them lose a game there. And then they'll learn from their mistakes, and they'll still go to the AFC Championship game because their division is a joke, and it really doesn't matter what any have. It doesn't matter if their schedule is hard, it doesn't matter if they're easy, because they still played the Jets twice, the Dolphins twice. So, really doesn't matter at this point. Yep, we're just all going to die. What was your favorite game of the week? Let me know in the comments down below. Is your team doing well, or is it just pooping itself because it can't change its own diaper? Looking at you. Dolphins, Bengals, Redskins. You can always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or at TomGrossiComedy on all social media you see down below. Check out podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and of course the YouTube. And a big shout out and thank you to all the patrons over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy. But thank you so much for watching. Predictions tomorrow, my fine friends. Thank you so much. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack, go.